Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the Lakers Fast Break Weekend Spotlight on the Lakerholics. Someday I'll roll that into some kind of smooth, right off the tip of the tongue delivery, but not today. It's a work in progress. I'd like to welcome Laker Tom and L Rob, two of our longtime contributors on the Lakerholics and formerly LA Times Laker blogs from way back when, back in the Kobe 81 points Kobe era, if not a little bit before. I can't remember when that blog started. I think it was after it was like right before, like right around when Detroit kicked our butts in the NBA Finals. It was right around then. Anyway,
the older you get, the more that gets compressed and you forget it. You know, it's like
I'll never forget it. I remember when I found it, I was just like, oh, fine.
Every time I say something was 5 years ago, my wife corrects me because it was 10 or 15 years ago, you know.
Oh, well, you know, that's life. You know, I was talking to somebody, and I was like, remember when we did that just a couple years ago? They're like, we were 30. You're turning 50 this year. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, never mind. Morning, cool bro. Morning, Ox. What the? Anyway, people are all sorts of the chat's already going off. Well, we're here to talk about the not news. The not news being everybody's in limbo. We're waiting to hear what Dan Hurley has to say. At which point, I would assume the Lakers would, if he doesn't have anything to say, would immediately pivot to offering. It would sound like JJ Redick the job. Let's be honest. This is why I don't pay attention to most of the online news outlets. The number of people talking about Dan Hurley as the potential future head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, 0. That would be absolutely 0. I don't care if your name's Shims, whatever, or Booha this. You don't know anything. You know as much as I do. That's the truth. All right. Now that we got that out of the way. All these insiders.
We can't all be happy because the only way you'll be happy then is if nobody else knows anything.
No, I'm happy right now. I'm in a good mood, actually. My kid's doing great at swim lessons. You know, listen, just because I'm frustrated with the Lakers' lack of planning or a plan, although I'll get on that. I'll retouch on that in a minute. That's the only thing that frustrates me these days. I think that they've moved in generally the right direction on all fronts, or at least have tried. You know, so on and so forth. You know, I don't know. It just seems like we're still adrift in a lot of ways in terms of like building a cohesive team around a cohesive idea that the team. I don't know. It's like we're just waiting for LeBron to retire or something. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. So,
well, we're in a period of indecision where we could go in a, you know, we're at a crossroads, and which way we go is going to determine, at least for sure, how the next decade goes. I'm in a real happy place because I feel like
get out of here.
I'm in a real happy place with the Lakers because I think this is the moment of a momentous change in the direction of the franchise. Because Jeannie and Rob have decided that they need a legacy coach. They've decided they need a vision for the future. They can't keep going with these short-term solutions. And however you dice it, it looks like they started off probably going after Danny Hurley, and he probably told him he wasn't interested.
Yeah.
And then they became very genuinely interested in JJ Redick, and for very strong reasons. You know, he's really, I think, the right answer for the Lakers. Maybe I like him even more than I like Danny Hurley because I think he'll have an easier time adjusting to being a head coach than Hurley will have adjusting from college to the NBA.
That's the beauty of all of that.
I can't lose. I can't lose.
The unknown is undefeated.
The unknown is undefeated. Is that what you said, El Rob?
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
Well, we're in need of a gamble because the league is changing. There's a changing of the guard going on. There's a changing in how the game is played and how athletic and long and big the players are. You can see it in you can imagine what Wemby's going to be like in 5 years from now, and there's probably a half a dozen Wembys on the way.
I don't know about that, but
I hope we can find one then. Just
let's draft. Let's draft.
this is a chance for the Lakers to modernize their offense, to start shooting 43s a game rather than 30, to get into the modern league where you've got a chance to have a legacy coach, where we have a chance to have an identity rather than, you're not going to get the identity from Rob Pelinka. You're not going to get the identity from Jeannie Buss. You know, she's not Dr. Buss.
No, but he was never an owner in this area. I think that's a totally unfair comparison. That's like comparing Jordan to George Mikan. Like you're talking about two completely.
Well, I don't think you're talking players that we're not talking about players.
You're talking about a time when there was no hard cap.
Talking about imagination and ability to take a gamble.
It's easy to be imaginative when there's no cap on the money you can spend. You can be really super duper imaginative.
Yeah, sure. The circumstances were different, but what it comes down to is sort of the entrepreneurship that Jerry Buss had, the gambles that you make when you are starting a business, and where you put your money on the line and you go double or nothing over and over and over to build that business. And half of the people, or 90% of the people, end up failing at some point in time in that climb to the top. And they end up having multiple bankruptcies. They're the Donald Trumps of their eras. So Jeannie's in a different whole environment. You couldn't expect her to be the same. She's safeguarding the reputation of the legacy of the Lakers franchise. But to me, this is a monumental point in our time, because they, at least rather than going the same route and ending up with the same hopeless hope that you have when you're a fan of the New Orleans Pelicans or the Detroit Pistons, where you can't even dream of having a championship, whereas the Lakers will at least give you enough seeds so that fools like I can dream about it happening. So I'm happy whichever way we go. I actually hope that we end up with JJ Redick, probably 51-49, because I just hope that Dan, he has a chip in his shoulder as the third Hurley, and NBA guys might be a tough. I heard these rumors that John Fanta put out about maybe there's somebody on the Lakers who thinks the coach is a little too smart for everybody else in the room. Attitude that JJ has won't work on the Lakers. He knows the NBA and so forth. And when I look at the personality of Danny Hurley and listen to him talk, bringing a college associate coach with him, a system from the colleges, never having been a player or a coach in the NBA, whereas JJ has at least been a player and an elite player in the league.
Whoa.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, all right. I'd like to hear.
In no time did I ever see JJ Redick as an elite player, unless your definition of elite.
Well, elite role player. He's not a superstar.
Right. He's good at one thing.
40%, 15-year career with a 40% shooting average. He was one of the best shooting guards around.
Yes, he was a very good shooter. That does not make you an elite player.
Yeah. Well,
good shooter.
Doesn't play defense. Doesn't rebound. Doesn't.
But wait a second. What we're talking about here is not. You're getting sidetracked with that. With how good JJ was as a player. The issue is that
I'm just.
I think it's going to be a lot easier for a player for him to get respect of the locker room and get everybody to buy into him than it may be for.
I mean, I have a problem with that.
College coach to come in who's the guy who's used to screaming at his players, man. Let's be honest about it.
I mean, we'll see about that.
Personality.
I have a problem with that, because by that logic, then Darvin Ham should have been a fantastic head coach, because he was an elite role player on a championship winning team, something JJ Redick was actually never able to be a part of. So we all saw how that worked out. Rob, I'd like to welcome you. What are your thoughts on Dan Hurley?
Well, people who are very knowledgeable about college basketball, and pro basketball, they all seem to like his schemes, his X's and O's. So he brings something that we've heard people lament with the Lakers for a while. So that's a positive. I mean, he's a proven winner. I mean, he has won. He's got a lot of competitive fire. He comes from a great family lineage of as far as coaching goes. I would assume if he's interested in taking the Lakers job, it's because he's looking for another mountain to conquer. And you want somebody who's doing it, that's willing to take this challenge. He understands. He would have to understand that LeBron is, he's on the way down, and the Lakers don't have a whole lot outside of that after this LeBron window closes. Willie won't be in the championship hunt probably. I mean, but he still believes, I'm sure, in his systems, and he believes he could take a team to the championship. So you want somebody with that belief. Like Tom said, he's very fiery. So that is something that he would have to understand. He lives and dies with each game, each possession.
I was going to say each possession, I'd say.
Yeah, so each possession. He's gotten into it with fans. So he's fiery. He would have to figure out how to throttle that down. He's a smart guy. I'm assuming he's weighed some of that.
Twice as many
games. But like most real tough disciplinary coaches, it's like a Bobby Knight, like a Tom Izzo, those guys, they get a reputation for being so tough, but all their players love them. And all their players tell them they also get the love from those coaches, so they feel like they're family. So they don't just tear them down, they also build them up. So I think he's got a good balance of both of those. So, yeah, I mean, I wasn't excited about JJ Redick. I said so when we were here. So to see the Lakers are genuinely interested in Bobby Hurley, that a smile on my face. So now whether they can close the deal, I guess there's 100 million reasons that would point to yes, we shall see. Well, we shall see.
Money's not everything. Money's not everything.
I'm buying stock in Hurley. And hopefully,
buy now, baby. Buy now.
Are planning for the long haul. I'm assuming if they're offering him this long-term deal, then they understand that it's a long-term investment and not a short play.
I like those answers. I'd just like to point out. Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. I'd just like to point out that we have, I think, a roughly 13-hour time difference here between Michael and you, El Rob. Are you East Coast time or are you Central?
I am East Coast time. It is 3:45 in
6 hour difference.
6 hour difference. 6 hour difference. Is that all it is? Thank you, Tom. Yeah, this is we're spanning the globe here, people.
What time is it, Michael? Where you're at?
I'm in Hawaii.
Oh, what time is it? It looks like it
is 9:45.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Tom knows his time zones.
Well, Tom looked it up on the internet. That's the only reason he knows it. I couldn't even answer Michael's email until I actually figured it out.
What happened on my email? I could never open it up on my laptop. I'm on my phone. It opened on my phone, but the site wouldn't open on my laptop for some reason.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I played around with it for like 10 minutes, and I said, "Well, I'll give it one last shot. I'll try the phone," and it worked on the phone. So
beautiful. Well, welcome to the show. Thoughts on the
we're almost international.
That's what I'm saying. We're approaching global. We just need somebody from I
hope Sean gets better and he can join us, and then we'll be international.
And shout out to you, Magic Man. Hope you're feeling better. Anyway, all right. Let's get your thoughts. Welcome to the show, Michael. Nice to see you. Another Lakerholic. We got all Lakerholics here today. It is a true spotlight on the Lakerholics. What are your thoughts on Dan Hurley? For me, it came out of left field, and like almost every great NBA tidbit, if all these rumors and clickbait that you see leading up to any kind of news are often completely unbiased and wrong. But that's honestly, I swear that's the last time I'm gonna bring that up, because I'm now flaying a dead horse. But what are your thoughts on Dan Hurley, Michael?
Well, I think the main reason why he didn't come out earlier was because he turned them down originally. So, per the reports, so that's probably why we didn't hear much about him. If he had said, "Yeah, I'm interested. I may be interested," maybe we would have heard more. But as far as him going, well, Pulaski likes him, and Pulaski hates everything. So You know, so
he goes opposite
he can't
of
be
everything.
bad. Plasky likes him, and he hates everything. He must be good, right?
Is Bill Plaschke our new divining rod? Are we using that to find water in the desert? You know,
Yeah.
there's water over here.
So anyway, as far as I'm concerned, I like him better than any of the other candidates. I temper it by understanding that a lot of quality, great college coaches, more great college coaches, flamed out in the NBA than succeeded. So you have to keep that caveat in mind that, you know, I mean, he's my favorite, but I'm going to temper that, you know, all of the praise he's receiving. A lot of these other guys received a lot of praise as well, and they didn't quite cut it. So we'll see. He's my favorite. I'm hoping that he gets the job. I read 2 or 3 different articles where they said that the Lakers were interested in him primarily because with the new CBA, it's more important than ever to develop young talent. And they believe that he's the kind of guy that could be, you know, bring out the best in the young guys we have or any of the young guys that come on board in the future. And that's true. I mean, the days of these huge contracts will be dwindling as, you know, the Warriors guys retire and some of these other teams with high payrolls, their vets begin to retire, because the only way these days that you can get a huge payroll is if you just draft extremely well. And so it's a premium now is on talent development. And I believe that from everything I'm reading, that's one of the things that the Lakers like best about him is that they feel that he can develop young talent and put young talent in the best positions to succeed.
I mean, you're absolutely right. The new salary cap, even though it's going to go up 10% automatically for the next probably 10 years, 15 years, once this new billions of dollars TV deal goes through, which it sounds like it's on the it's on the way. Probably will be announced after the NBA Finals. The NBA doesn't, unlike the Lakers, don't like to sully the NBA Finals with extraneous news. The Lakers absolutely love, if they're not in the NBA Finals, they're doing something on the cusp or in the middle.
I hope they announce tomorrow.
Oh yeah, no, they're definitely. That's what. Trust me, they wanted to ruin Game 1. They ruined Game 1. They wanted to ruin Game 2. They're going to ruin Game 2. Then once it's in Dallas, they'll stop. They'll stop. But then when it's back in Boston, you'll see. Oh, our our press conference just happened to be scheduled on Game 5. Oh, can you believe it? You know what I mean? Like that's the Lakers.
Well, we can wait 100%. And make sure that Boston loses, because if Boston loses, we don't want to interrupt that.
I don't want to talk about this. This Boston. I don't think. Listen, I'm rooting for the Mavs. They're the plucky little engine that could, but I didn't see a lot Boston in Game 1. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, if they can, tomorrow's the defining game. If they win tomorrow, if Mavs win tomorrow, it's a series.
They hold court. All they do is hold court. These are the finals.
Yeah, too many guys on Dallas. Listen, I'm talking about this. No, you're getting me all tangential, sidetracked. We're not doing this. All right. So I like your thoughts on Dan Hurley panel. Hey panel. I like your thoughts on Dan Hurley panel. I would say my only concern, it's a question / a concern. Is it possible? Does the 16 tech rule apply to coaches as well? If a coach gets 16 techs, is he suspended by the league for a game? I got to figure this out. This is my summer project now. I got to figure out if 16 techs means Dan Hurley gets suspended for a game, because
they don't even kick the coach out if he gets 2 technicals.
No, it's this. They don't.
I don't think so.
I don't know about that. We got to figure this out.
A coach has to be ejected with 2 technicals.
Then Dan Hurley's going to make some kind of history. He's either going to be responsible for the rules change.
Well, the response to that is, the people that know him say just listen to his interviews. He knows who he's talking to, and he changes the approach to when he's talking. I know most coaches that are good coaches have that edge. There's a part of their personality that goes berserk. And you use that as a weapon. You use that sparingly, generally. You could argue that Dan doesn't use it sparingly. He uses it consistently. But But you use it on referees, you use it on your players at various times. But you have to be judicious about how you use it, or else it becomes useless. You know, it becomes just your standard behavior becomes crazy, and you know, and he knows he has to change his behavior. I'm less worried about that than just the arrogance that comes with it, being a two-time champion in college and a multiple champion in high school, who still believes in that philosophy, maybe more than that it's a play. One of the things he's proud of, and this is an interview that he did with JJ, which is really fun watching the two of them talk to each other. But in the interview, he says one of the things he doesn't do is he doesn't bring in the number 19 kid in the country who's got an ego as big as you can imagine. He tries to find the guys who, you know, who can fit into the program. So he's definitely a player who's got, or a coach who's got sort of a constraint of a type of player that he wants to have character-wise as the base in his program. And it's usually not the high scorers, although he's shown in the last especially in the last 2 years at Connecticut, that he'll take a guy who's a prodigious scorer and he'll highlight him. He'll run the plays for him. He'll turn him into a superstar because he knows that, and that's one of the things I love about him philosophically, that he knows that you have to score to win. You cannot, his statement that you can't win the NCAA tournament with an average scoring team. You have to have a high scoring team because you're going to run one of those 6 games you need to win the championship. You're not going to be scoring on every cylinder. So you better be good enough that that's enough to win on your off day.
I have a question. Who among us pays attention to college sports? I do not.
Yeah, I don't really either.
A little bit, but not like, I mean, I have a couple of teams in basketball and a couple of teams in football, but I don't cover the whole sport. I just cover rooting interest.
Okay.
That's about it.
Now, Rob?
I watch the Big Ten pretty closely. Outside of that, and you know, if it's a big game
Sure.
that, you know, 2 other top 10 teams, I may tune in, or if it's some exceptional player on a team, I might tune in. But other than that, it's just tournament time.
And has anybody watched a lot of UConn play in college? Again,
I've watched a lot of film of him video of him since the other day. Okay. And the one thing that he does,
I'm more curious. I guess I'm not so much curious about snippets, because snippets.
No, but his philosophy. Here's what
I'm curious. Well, let me get to the crux of my question. The crux of my question is, I haven't seen how his demeanor is over the course of an entire game, because that informs that. It's like watching a player's highlights. Yes, I can watch. I understand what you're saying, Tom. I'm not.
He's manic over the whole game.
This is what I'm curious to see. And I'm wondering how that translates. And I'm wondering if on top of that, if the Lakers are going to strongly encourage him to pick up, like, okay, you want to bring this guy or that guy, these people from your program. Fantastic. We also strongly encourage you to perhaps choose this from a wealth of assistants who have been through this experience at this level before, so you can rely on them. And even if that's JJ Redick, so that was more where I was going with that question. I understand his philosophy. I mean, he's the essential modern day coach for a 3-and-D philosophy at the collegiate level, and that's fine. That's fine. I mean, one of the things that I don't think is going to be a problem in terms of his temperament is that it does make for great television. And with this new NBA package, they're going to want all the television highlights they can get. So I'm sure he's going to. Gerald found it for us. 2 techs and the coach is ejected, by the way. So the coach can only get 2 techs, then they're booted.
No, but does he have the same number of games?
I'm gonna Gerald, if you're not doing anything on the plane, find that out.
The thing that I'm not as concerned about his sideline demeanor as I am concerned with how he's going to deal with NBA vets. He's not going to be able to approach them the same way he was able to approach college players. He's not going to be able to say, LeBron, drop and give me 50.
I mean, he could say that if he wanted to, but the repercussions would be serious and long lasting.
So that's my curiosity.
But that's a great point. That's a great point, Michael. But why don't you address it? I think the Lakers are an advantage for him. We're one of the teams, because of LeBron James, who wants to be coached and wants to be treated like everybody else. and Anthony Davis. I think Lakers are one of the teams where that can work, where a lot of teams, if you come in and you're James Harden is your guy that you're coaching, or, you know, some guy who's really only interested in his numbers more than winning, you really got a tough time then dealing with these players, trying to get them to play team ball. At least that's how the situation.
I mean, listen, we all know that a locker room is contentious. It's fraught with peril, and that emotions are high. You're dealing with generally alpha personalities who are competing against one another and competing against other people on their team, potentially for roles and stuff. There's a lot of drama that comes in over the course of an NBA season, an 82-game season, for every single team. There's no team that is without drama, but the Lakers spotlight is intentionally bright. Now, Rob, do you think that it's a problem that this manic, high-strung man who has a tendency to yell at players is about to potentially become the head coach of possibly the most prolific or watched sport, certainly basketball sport franchise on planet Earth?
That's a big concern. I mean, yeah, that's a major concern. Otherwise, it'd be a slam dunk. I mean, nobody's check all the boxes, and he's no exception. So
that's a great point, though.
The area of his concern is like Tom said, he has zero experience. I mean, I don't even.
Yeah, so does JJ Redick. Doesn't have any experience either.
Well, he has experience.
Yeah, he's been in a pro locker room.
Yeah, he's
been in the league 15 years.
Yeah. So he has zero of that.
I see what you're saying.
As much as I've watched UConn, I've never seen them with really an exceptional player either. I mean, they got good players and guys who can probably make the pros, and they'll be bench players, but he hasn't
dealt with superstars.
He hasn't dealt with a superstar or a high level player.
Well, so that's another thing. Every player on the Lakers team was a high end college player, even the 15th man.
Yeah.
So that's different from the normal college roster.
Max Christie.
All these guys were stars at one point.
Or even St. Anthony's High School.
Oh man. That's an interesting point. That's an interesting point that you just brought up, though. I mean, and we've talked about this. It seems like, I mean, if I obviously we have as much insider information as Shams Charania and Javon Buha. So as a satellite looking down at Planet Lakers, which is kind of how I look at my fandom. I'm out there in space, and the Lakers are this planet, and I'm very interested in it, and I like to know everything going on, right? So from my little satellite perspective, it seems to me that, and we've touched on this a little bit in the show, that we're most excited about his potential to help us develop either role players or young players. It's hard to say young players because the Lakers tend not to draft a lot of young players. They tend to trade those picks if they can for an actual player in the NBA, which, that's a whole aspect of reality that Coach Hurley has not endured either. You've never you don't trade a college player in the middle of the season. You start with a bunch of guys in a program, you finish the season, maybe one or two of them transfers out after that, but it's probably
that was the old days. That's not today. That's not with the NIL and portals today. One of the reasons he's leaving is just because you're recruiting 100% of the time, because you gotta fill the guys that are leaving your program every year that basically can opt out and immediately be eligible to transfer to another school. And a lot of them, it's just because they didn't make the NIL that they were promised they were going to make when they joined the program. So they're going to go to some other program that gives them a promise of more money. Now, jumping to the NBA,
but they can't do that. They can't do that They can't do that mid-season, though, right, Tom? That's not.
No, they can't do it mid-season, but
that's what I'm saying. Like a trade,
they check out, though.
Guys have transferred a lot more in the last 2 seasons. Guys have transferred mid-season.
It's crazy.
Hey, I'm done with this team. Put me in the portal. I'm leaving.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So they
threaten that if I don't get more playing time, I'm going to check out next year and go to another team. It's a players' league now. It's no longer a coaches' league. And that used to be why a lot of coaches don't go from college to the pros. But here's the thing that I think is the most important thing about Dan Hurley. What he described his offense to J.J. Redick was that he compared it to Mike Shanahan and the 49ers offense, saying that he has 9 or 10 formations, whether it's horns or 5 out or whatever. He has 9 or 10 base formations. And then he has options on every one of those formations to get a 3-point shooter, to get a post dunk, to get a mid-range shot, to, and so forth. And basically they try to just, what he does is what everybody complains about Ham last year, that we never run plays, or that when we run plays, the other 3 guys are just standing around. He runs constant motions off of the ball and constant. It's the closest thing to it is the Golden State offense.
That's what I was going to say.
He basically does not run ISOs and pick and rolls.
Yeah.
He totally changes it up where he's running formations like the 49ers do, but there's an option on every one of those formations that his players instinctively know. And
no apology.
If he can translate that to the NBA, which everybody says it's an NBA offense, it's a 3-point shooting offense. It's an attack offense, and he does other things that are totally different. For example, offensive rebounding. He sends 5 guys to the rim every time. He makes it so that teams do not want to try to run against him because they got to protect the boards. So they end up having to keep 5 guys in to rebound because he sends 5 guys to the boards every time. He ends up every year being number 1 in rebounding, but also number 2 or 3 in defensive transition. So he's got a system, It's not just BS that he's a winner and the Lakers are going after the guy who's got the most awards most recently. The guy really has a system that will modernize the Lakers and really works. And he knows how to implement it. If he can get by the personality aspect of trying to shove it down the throats of the Laker veterans, and understand that these guys make more money than you do, even though you're the coach. Even though they're paying you $100 million to do this, they make more money than you do. And most of the time, hopefully not for the Lakers and going forward, but most of the time, you're indispensable compared to the players. And this is great if the Lakers can switch that around, where we finally have a legacy coach in charge who's really in charge.
We'll see. This brings up a point though. Buy-in is going to be a huge thing. Well, obviously, we didn't see. I don't want to say we saw a ton of buy-in from LeBron, and I don't know about AD. AD is a little less demonstrative on the court than LeBron is. I don't know that we saw a ton of buy-in from LeBron in the Ham, all 2 years of the Ham era. The guy's got 3 years max. I feel like 1 or 2 really, but who knows? How much LeBron? How much buy-in is LeBron going to have on any head coach? Or is it just LeBron's way or the highway in terms of his minutes and so on? What do you think, Michael?
Well, I've said this before and I'll say it again. LeBron's going to play LeBron's way. The coach will have an effect, hopefully. They will start getting more 3-point opportunities, hopefully. But we're still going to play attack the rim first and foremost. We led the league, I believe, or we're at least a top 1 or 2 in points in the paint. We led the league in free throw attempts. That's going to continue.
That ain't going to change. I agree.
Yeah. So what I'm looking for is, we got 31 3-pointers up a game last year. I would like to see us getting at least 36, 37 a game to balance out a little bit more, but it's still going to be, we're still going to be playing a lot of LeBron ISO, LeBron with the ball, LeBron attacking. That's not going to stop. Just hopefully he throws in enough wrinkles to where we become less predictable than we were under the last couple of coaches, actually.
Yeah, the offense being predictable was a big issue for both Ham and Vogel before him. But I think because it is LeBron James, like the offense. And there was an article about Frank Vogel recently where somebody was talking about, or no, I think I heard it on the Skip Bayless show. Perk was talking and he's like, Vogel Vogel understands, like, you let the superstars be the superstars, and he focuses on a team concept on the defensive end, and he kind of is just like, yeah, let's run some basic action that you do, LeBron, and you go be you. And I guess that's his philosophy, that's exactly what it looked like all the time. So it all kind of checks out. So I don't know, Elrob, what do you think? Do you see what is going to be the biggest weakness as a Dan Hurley coaching regimen? Is it going to be the defense? Is it going to be the offense? When I hear all this stuff about how he does things, it makes me worry about like a Rick Pitino 2.0, where he's like, I'm going to bring my way into the NBA and everybody's going to love it. We're going to full court press. We're going to do all these things. And then the stars are like, we don't play that way, dude. Like, you're going to kill us. It's a long season. Figure out.
Hey, I tell you what though, that was a wild ride. That was some.
It was a wild ride watching him try to force.
The Knicks were very entertaining for a little while when they were pressing everybody and shooting those threes. The year the Pistons won the championship, they swept the Pistons. And that was one of the things that going into the playoffs, it was like, man, if they got to match up with the Knicks, they seem to somehow, and it's playoffs, so I'm sure the Pistons would have figured it out. But the Bulls might upset the Knicks, and so they were spared having to face Pitino Knicks. But man, that was a fun team. But anyway, getting back to your earlier question, so will LeBron buy in? LeBron wanted Eric Spoelstra gone, right?
Yep.
He wanted to go a guy in Cleveland gone. He wants everybody gone. So if you're waiting on LeBron to get buy-in, I mean, forget about it. You need a Pat Riley to tell him, hey, LeBron, it doesn't matter what you think. This is the coach. So you play. This coach is coaches. He's not going anywhere. So it looks like the Lakers, if they make this commitment, LeBron's going to have to fall in line. I've always wanted. I've talked, especially this last year, that you got to take the ball out of his hands. He needs to be able to spend a little more energy on defense. And the only way he can do that is to stop trying to control the ball on offense. So, I got kind of beat up. I'm not saying play him off the ball totally, but just, give the other guys, in that one playoff game, they let D'Lo handle it and run a lot of pick and roll. They look pretty good. So just take the ball out of LeBron's hands sometimes. So,
that's easier said than done.
The problem is the coach doesn't have the ball in his hands. LeBron does.
Yeah. So
but you're absolutely right, Lee. You're absolutely right. And the other thing is that Hurley is not the kind of guy who his system is pretty egalitarian, It's share the ball, man.
It's equal opportunity.
If you run the play right, you'll get your shot.
So
but if you don't run the play right,
any good leader knows that he needs the most talented people in his organization to buy into his philosophy.
And LeBron loves his offense. LeBron loves his offense.
His success. So he'll figure out how to get LeBron. Him and LeBron will have a meeting of the minds, and they'll be okay. That's what I believe. But
I think you're right. I think John Fanta said that the opportunity to coach LeBron James was a factor.
Yeah,
was a factor in this decision.
Yeah, I can believe that.
And that's why he said that was one of the things he said. There's a couple of things about this moment in time that are unique for Danny, and advantage to get to the next level, and to share a couple of years with LeBron, that was really important part of the whole thing too.
Yeah, I can imagine. But okay, strip away all that stuff. He's still the coach.
Yep.
And this is the NBA. This is not college.
Right.
Players win.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can help some, and you can.
But they are paying him $12.5 a year for 8 years.
It's all about having the upgrading your roster, getting it's still coaches, college. I mean, NBA.
There's only two guys that got bigger paychecks on the team. Of course, those are his two superstars.
Yeah, very few teams will you say in the NBA that win championships. Oh, the coach won it for them.
Yeah,
I can't think of one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you look today and you see that Kerr is making 17.5,
I mean,
Sproles is making 15 million.
I take that back. I think what we see in the NBA more than college is that there are coaches that grease the wheels of success, given the roster that he has at the moment in time, right? Like, you could probably argue that if Luke Walton had taken over for Steve Kerr, he'd have won at least another championship right now, right?
Probably 2 or 3.
Because they already had a great team, right? They had a great team. He understood the ideas of like the concepts of like, hey, let's get Steph shots. He just needed
most of that team was there when Steve took over.
Luke was the coach when they went on that huge run for the majority of the season, because remember Steve was out with like that back thing, and like I think there's some personal drama going on in his life, and I for my moment I thought he was just going to retire, and then he came back, and anyway now Luke doesn't have a job. Point being is that we've seen
even an assistant somewhere.
Thought he was an assistant on Cleveland, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if he's still there or not.
Yeah, I know he was an assistant on Cleveland last season. I'm not sure if he's still an assistant this season, or maybe took a job coaching a college program.
Where do you go after this? College, I guess.
Yeah, you go to college. You try to get
going to China.
Or you made enough money. You made enough money. Go play beach volleyball. And he might have. You know what? He might have taken the year off.
He might have done that. He was a pretty good volleyball player.
Well, and also he might have taken last season off because his dad was in a state of decline, as we all know.
Yeah.
Bill, and that may have been a thing as well. I hadn't thought of that till just this exact second. So
I just kissed my autographed Bill Walton basketball the other day. Great player, man. Great player.
I don't know what to make of that, Tom. Yes, he was a great player, but I don't know why you would kiss a basketball. Anyway, but we all grieve in our own ways, I suppose. Anyway, moving on. And actually, thank you, Bill Walton, for not just your basketball, but you're in general, you're a funny guy. I always like him. Yeah. I saw him. I didn't talk to him, but I saw him at the Fare Thee Well shows when the Grateful Dead kind of not really, but sort of stopped playing.
I spent an hour one night talking to him when he was a speaker at an event that my wife's company had. That's great. Cool. He sat with me and 2 other guys and spent the whole evening just talking to 3 of us. It was just really terrific.
That's pretty cool. Anyway, I think. I guess we're waiting until, like I said, we'll probably hear tomorrow, just a little bit before game time, that Dan Hurley has made a choice.
He has a meeting with his players on Monday, and the word that I hear is that he's not going to have something. And the reason the Lakers haven't said anything, Woj hasn't said anything, is that he's going to tell his players first in person before. He does not want them to hear that through the media.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if at least Jeannie and Rob know. But I hear you. So you're saying he won't.
I'm saying he won't announce until Monday after he talks.
If that's what's being reported, Tom, then he's accepted the job.
Yeah,
I think he has accepted the job.
That's a very astute observation.
Yeah, what are you going to meet with the players for, to tell them you're still their coach? That's the only reason.
Why would? But also too, he's got a guy that he had pull himself out of the draft to stay with the team. He talked one of the guys into returning to college to play for him for another year. He loves that team. He loves those players. They won a championship, man. And he's gonna. At least that's the word that I heard, that he just.
Every coach loves his team, Tom. Every coach that's ever left his team after he said he would never leave his team. Wow. There's a long list of coaches.
Listen, I've coached a lot of teams, and I can tell you right off the top of my head the 2 teams that I love the most. And every coach who's ever coached any team, ever had a career, can tell you immediately which teams he loved and which. There's a whole bunch of teams that fall in the other categories.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm excited to hear. I wonder if he takes the job. Obviously, the search is over. If he doesn't take the job,
JJ.
Now we're back into the whole Ty Lue debacle, where it's like, hey, choice number 2.
I don't look at it that way. I think I look at it that.
How you doing, buddy?
I look at that. I'm happy because we have 2 candidates who will totally transform the Lakers.
Yeah, but that's not
but both of them have really high ceilings also.
That is not the point at all. The point is that the Lakers are now, to this day, still regretting not hiring Tyronn Lue as the head coach.
You move on. I don't care.
Oh yeah, obviously because we fired our coach.
This is a team, a fan. If you're smart, you just move on and stop crying about that shit.
We've done it. The Lakers have done a great job moving on by finding the perfect coach. This hopefully in try number 3. I will say this. I think that obviously Rob Pelinka is listening to Coach K, and in case people didn't know, Mike Krzyzewski is helping the Lakers in some capacity pick their next head coach, which is funny because 20 years ago, like 2 days ago, he turned down the job for what would have been, and it sounds crazy now that like it would have been like a whopping $4 million a year. But I mean, you have to realize 20 years ago, at the time, it would have been like a landmark signing. So it's just funny to read how much inflation makes America awesome. My point here is that there's no good look. There's no way you come out of choice number 2 looking intelligent. You just it doesn't happen.
Well, you come out of choice 2 and
you don't ask the girl you want to the prom. She says no.
Coach before, never been a head coach before.
I mean, listen. Incredibly, we've landed on the 2.
It's only because you have a different opinion than the Lakers brass has of JJ Redick's qualities, why they think he has the potential to be a legacy quality coach.
Well, I mean, obviously that's what I'm saying. Like
they had a guy, had a guy who had the job locked up until at the last moment. Their original top candidate said, "Hold on a second, guys. I suddenly am interested in this job."
I mean, all of this is weird to me. I'm just saying this is that there's no way you spin. Just kidding. We really like JJ Redick better. It doesn't happen that way. I mean, you'll have to say like,
well, we wanted Dan it that way. You don't have to spin it any differently than okay. If Dan decides not to take it, it's a family reason. His wife didn't want to move.
Do you think they turned around and offered JJ that same 8-year, $100 million?
No, and I don't think JJ would expect that. It's a whole different situation.
Yeah, so then it doesn't make any sense to me. Then it's like this question of like.
No, then it's ridiculous. Then it's JJ.
I don't even know. I mean,
why would they treat it? They were really happy that JJ was a candidate. They were really thrilled.
I don't even know if they all had come to an agreement that JJ was going to get the job. I can't.
No, I agree.
I mean, it sounds like he was very close, but
yeah, he was very close.
There was words that AD did not. It wasn't a fan. So
I haven't heard that specifically anywhere.
I have.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if that's true. For example, if people are attributing that to his leaving him off of his ballot and so forth, I think I don't think Anthony Davis would make a decision based upon something as childish as that.
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty prideful. You remember his number 1 goal coming into the season was winning Defensive Player of the Year, Tom.
Right.
If the guy who is hired to be your coach don't even think you're one of the top 15 defenders, I'm questioning what is he watching if he doesn't think Anthony Davis is one of the top 15 defenders in the NBA.
Well, I think he was mistaken not having him in there, but I think he just made a mistake. I haven't heard anybody address him. That's interesting that nobody has asked him that specific question.
The one thing I have. What's the other guy's name?
What's the other guy's
name?
Which other guy? The other candidate?
Third guy, Borgio or
Borrego. James Borrego.
Yeah, he's tight with that guy. AD is.
Yeah.
And I think what we're hearing is he was AD's favorite. Doesn't necessarily mean AD is going to reject JJ. It just means that he had a relationship with him.
Yeah. I'm curious. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, obviously, we're kind of playing a game of like, what if at this point, because obviously the Lakers have made an offer. It sounds like, oh my God, some people.
An offer he shouldn't be able to refuse.
I mean, no. I mean, it depends on. I mean,
this is generational wealth. You're talking, nobody in that family.
He's making generational wealth as a college coach right now. Like he's making plenty. He's the 3rd highest paid college coach. They would renegotiate his deal. He's either using the Lakers for leverage. Which nobody in the Laker front office has ever fallen prey to that. No, sir.
He has an offer that he's had for over a year and he hasn't signed it.
Anyway.
Yeah, but he wasn't offered the Laker job for over a year either. So.
No, but he didn't. But he also didn't sign that thing, and the problem is that it's the coach's job has changed so much because of NIL and the portal. It's just ridiculous. It used to be if you wanted to transfer out of a program that you signed up for a 4-year program, you want to transfer, you used to have to sit out a year. I mean, that would just destroy people. Now all they have to do is just lobby to move in. Just put me in the portal. I'm in the portal.
I understand. I understand that, though. I mean, I understand that times change and that it's, I'm sure, hard for college coaches to adapt. But, like, you know, tell that to the Pony Express, man. You know, life moves inexorably forward. Let's not, you know, it's just one of those things. Like, yes, I get it. It used to be a certain way. But
that's why he never would have considered this before.
We didn't used to have fabric softener. Now we live in a world of fabric softener. So just get over it. Like, just start putting the fabric softener in your clothes. Have nice soft clothes, unless you're allergic.
Oh, so it's so easy. So we're only that easy.
No, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like, you have a choice, right? You have a choice to adapt or die. You're not like a dinosaur. There's not a meteorite.
Both of them are great adapters. We have 2 candidates who are terrific adapters. So we'll see.
I mean, you can't say anything about JJ Redick. There is nothing to base any statement you say. You're just saying a thought, and that's fine. But we can't say JJ Redick's going to be great at anything at all because there's no body of work.
JJ Redick
I could be a brilliant nuclear physicist. Are you going to put me in charge of a reactor? No, you are.
JJ is the favorite. JJ was the favorite before.
Fine. I'm not. Listen,
Dan Hurley came in me.
Everybody picks a pony.
I only accept statements that you'll accept.
No. Everybody, when you're at the track, everybody picks a pony. That's how it works.
Do you think they were really considering or are considering Beret?
No, I don't think that Borrego's in it because I think that before the whole thing happened. Listen, there's one simple reason why JJ Redick doesn't have this job today, and that's because Dan Hurley said he was interested in the job. That's the only reason JJ doesn't have this job today. And anybody that tries to attribute that wasn't the whole thing that changed everything, that somehow AD no longer wants to have JJ, or that they found out that 4 other players said that JJ had too smart of an attitude. All of that stuff is just the same BS that the internet just flushes out every day, just gallons and gallons of the same shit.
I know for me, I won't be comfortable with either guy until I learn who their lead assistant's going to be, because they're both
to have a lead assistant who's coached in the NBA.
They're both going to need a high level lead.
Yep,
preferably somebody that's been a head coach.
Yes, in the NBA.
Yeah.
Well, that knocks Borrego off, and that knocks Adelman's kid off. And that's basically Stotts, Atkinson. And,
there's a big jump from assistant coach in the NBA to head coach in the NBA. That is a massive.
Well, Borrego, they have interest in Borrego as an assistant as well as a lead guy.
Yeah.
If they're going to end up paying a whole bunch of money. If they get Hurley, they're still going to have to pay a whole bunch of money to get a quality lead guy.
And we've always said that they should be doing that. It's not limited by the league. You can spend whatever you want,
and hopefully they do for a change.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Well, now, so this is an interesting point because I always wonder, like, what is the driving factor here? What was the driving factor in Darvin Ham getting fired? I think that the Lakers, like the rest of us, realized he's really, really, really slow to adapt to in-game crises.
In season and in-game crises.
All of the above, but I mean specifically in-game. You can work through in season, right? If you're like, okay, listen, the way you handled this last season, let's try it this way. You know what I mean? That's one thing. If you're too slow on the uptake to react in-game, the general manager can't dude, why aren't you calling a timeout? Why aren't you challenging that? It doesn't work like that. So that's what I'm saying is that, like, in-game, if there's a big problem there because it's
or why don't you just assign a player? You take care of challenges. You take care of timeouts. You take care of substitutions. And
I always thought that was an assistant's job. That's why you have like 17 head coaches.
Why you have all those assistants?
Yeah, I'm
right.
pretty sure.
There's like a whole second. Yeah, and there's a whole.
It was more than that for me. Yeah, he wasn't a great in-game manager, but he had a system in mind that he wanted to run. He didn't necessarily have the guys to do it. So instead of devising a system that optimized the talents of the guys he had, he kept trying. It was like trying to hit, square pegs into round holes. He just overall, I mean, he was fast, he was infatuated with the 3-guard thing, and
when you get 3 great guards.
when we started running Rui back at the 3, started him there, it had the best run of the year because we had a very large front line then.
Yeah.
He just was slow to adapt to the talents of the guys.
Prince is not a guard though. Prince wasn't a guard who was starting ahead of.
No, I don't know how he got. He's a small forward at best.
Yeah, so that wasn't a 3-guard deal.
I mean, I thought Tom nailed the Taurean Prince analogy when he said he was last year's Troy Brown Jr. And that's right. Like one of these guys who's not quite good enough, like with the skill set, to really be considered a small forward. You kind of want him to be the shooting guard role, but he's a little bit over, slow, fat. He's just not quite right. You know what I mean? It's not his fault. I like Troy Brown Jr. I like how he competes, and I like Taurean Prince. I like how he competes. But
he's much better player than Troy Brown.
Oh yeah, no, but
Troy Brown was not ready for prime. We're not ready for prime.
No. Troy Brown Jr. is all heart. That's where he.
I hope we get Taurean back. He would be a very valuable player to have.
We'll see. I have a feeling that wherever Darvin Hams ends up, that's where Taurean Prince is going to end up.
I don't know. I mean, we can give Prince a raise to 5.4.
Yeah,
which is more than the mini mid-level.
Right. That's an interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. He's not probably going to make much more on the open market, and
no, his market is mid-level. That's his market.
It's a great good point.
We can pay him that.
Yeah.
And
he's a valuable 7th, 8th guy on the team.
Agreed. No, he's right. He was
7 to 9 guy.
He was completely miscast as a starter. It's like
Oh yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
I love the fact that he one thing that he did much better than everybody always criticized him for is when he had an open 3, he took a shot. He didn't hesitate to take that shot. And the other thing is that when he was challenged, chased off the line, he was very good at finishing on the side. He had a good Euro step. He had some good plays.
He's actually got more moves in the bag than I think he. This is the other problem I have with modern NBA. But anyway, we don't need to get on that right now. All right, we've been gabbing for about an hour here. Any thoughts on Mavs Celtics? Anybody wants to share?
No, that's not even worth talking about. Let me give you a question that's a better question. What do you think the hiring of either if we got Dan Hurley or we hired JJ? I think that if we hired Hurley, we really could get a big boost in the quality of minimum free agents that would be wanting to come to the Lakers. Chris Paul, for example, I think either one of those two guys would lock Chris Paul up probably as the minimum salary player for the Lakers.
That's not happening. It's just not. Why are you even saying such things?
Why you don't want Chris Paul for those are two completely different sentences.
One, what I'm saying is that Chris Paul will not be playing for anybody on the veterans minimum next season. He may settle for somebody's MLE.
$5 million.
He's not going to do it.
You think he's in that range next year?
No, he's not going to accept less than 15. 10 to 15 for Chris Paul next season, guaranteed.
Really? Wow. Okay.
You think they would use their non-taxpayer MLE, one of the most valuable free agent devices, on Chris Paul?
Somebody will. Orlando, or somebody like Orlando,
or probably $4 million because he's played so many years.
Orlando or Philly could just sign him outright, and he would help both franchises because Philly especially lacks that guy.
He wants to play with LeBron.
I mean, then that's too bad because we're not going to be able to sign him for. I mean, I will be astounded if he's a Laker next season because we simply don't have the resources.
Well, what about let's leave him out so it doesn't become a Chris Paul question.
Yeah, because I'll pass on Chris Paul.
But let's say, what about the fact that you may be able to attract that the Lakers having a new head coach that has a real pedigree, or a new head coach that has, let's say, connections with players that he played with before, in like JJ, that we could see a different type of players coming to the team. We know, for example, we're going to need shooters. One of the big questions that I have with Danny Hurley is how could you trade a guy like, how could you let a guy like the D'Angelo Russell walk when you know that the
offense? Well, that's not even it doesn't even matter. That's honestly for the Lakers this season. That's a point of cap management. It almost has zero to do with his talent level. Which is his talent levels.
Well, it has a lot to do with his talent level because you can't replace him.
You can't replace that cap space.
To replace him.
No, all
there
of
are guys out there that
are
better than him that are available.
It's hard to fault management for D'Lo's deal. I mean, D'Lo played like he arguably was the worst performance I've ever seen of a good player in a playoff series.
Chris Paul.
No, D'Angelo Russell.
Oh,
last year.
Yeah, last year.
Not this year.
Not this year.
And we had everybody bombed but LeBron and AD.
6-7 points a game. He got played off the court. He was embarrassing. For a good player, you've seen bad players, you've seen mediocre players play that bad, but for a good player in that moment, I mean, so I understand why they didn't offer him a deal better than they offered him. They would have got killed if they, after coming off of that playoff series, hey, we're signing D'Angelo Russell to a 4-year, $100 million contract. I mean,
that's probably what it's going to take.
Yeah, but last year, this year, yes, but last year at that time, they couldn't offer him that.
No,
exactly.
I don't even know. I'm not even sure.
We'd have to replace him. We need somebody who can shoot like he can shoot.
Yeah,
I mean, well, that's going to be the thing with the Dan Hurley. That's going to be the thing with the Dan Hurley offense, right? Is he's going to want 3 to 4 guys surrounding AD who can shoot, or we're going to need to find an elite.
3 of them right now.
Well, I mean that bodes well. That bodes well for us acquiring. I mean, again, I don't watch a lot of college basketball. I've looked at some of the draft prospects that we might be able to get at 17. Should we keep the pick? I do tend to think we need to draft a point guard, unfortunately. Because centers generally just take a little longer to catch up to the NBA game, and you can find a guy who can come in and if he meshes with the team, he can come in and make an instant impact. I don't know that's going to happen for anybody that we pick in the draft. Our pick last season has done absolutely nothing. I actually hope, honestly, that we get some kind of development out of JHS if he's not including in a trade. Like, do something this summer, man. Like, what? Figure out something to do on the basketball court besides bring the ball over the timeline. I don't know what he does. He's not a shooter. He's not a passer. He's not a defender. He's not
to be fair with him, he missed half the year with injuries. He started with preseason. He was hurt a lot. I did get a chance to watch him in the G League, and he showed me some stuff in the G League.
Okay.
It's not the same, I understand, but he showed his skill set that he does have. So there was only a short period of time where he was healthy this year. It was like in the middle of the season. He missed the first part of the season. And he missed the last part of the season. So that was, for a rookie, that's devastating for a rookie.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Pale Fox, one of our chatters, what's up, Pale Fox, has a good point. Hurley actually only has 2 true shooters on his last 2 champs. His system would make non-shooters better scorers. I find that, again, this is the kind of thing I like to hear from people who possibly watch more college basketball than I do. I watch 0. And so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, yeah, this guy is going to be his Princeton offense, blah, blah, blah. I'm not that person. So I'm very, very curious to see what people who've watched more college hoops than I have. And I love this statement. Vando would thrive under Dan. I'm all in on Dan Hurley then, people. I'm all anybody that unlocks JV, The Mandalorian, I'm all in. I love Vando. I love guys like that in general. I love the hustle guys, but I think Vando's more than a hustle guy. He's got more than a little bit of talent in there, and so we'll see. You know what? It's going to be an interesting season. I would just like to say, as we wrap up here, if anybody has any thoughts they'd like to share before we wrap up, actually, anything you'd like to toss on the fire?
No, I think we kicked it around.
We've kicked the can down the road enough till we hear something actually truthful and real.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's all just, we're just waiting for reality to occur. That's what we're doing here. So I was hoping they might announce something today. It sounds like if he's going to talk to his players on Monday, he's going to enjoy the LA weather, although it's been pretty gray today. I haven't been outside in a few minutes, but when I came into the garage, it was gray. We'll see. We'll see what happens with this whole head coaching thing. I really hope they get their first choice. I would like to not have to deal with Frank Vogel 2.0, where it's like, this is the guy. No, we swear we've loved him all along, and he's going to be great at this. We swear. And we're not going to fire him in 2 years when everybody's hurt after he won a champion. That's definitely not going to happen. We love him. He's the future of the team. I mean, what we met was Darvin Ham is the future of the team. He's going to be here for a very long time. And by that, I mean he's fired. And here we go, number 3. And this is definitely my last coach that I get to hire. I'm Rob Pelinka, and I'm going to be fired if this doesn't work out. Because that's what's going to happen. And that's, I think, why they're offering, if it is, I wouldn't be surprised if it's JJ Redick. They offer him the same 8-year. It'll be the same deal because this is it for Rob. And I think that is what has happened in the offseason is that Jeannie has said, you got one more coach, bro. This is it. You're gone after this. So, and if she didn't say that, then she's not doing her job because that's the bottom line is this has to be the last coach Rob Pelinka ever hires, unless something happens to him. And we've, if he gets, if he falls off his bike, I don't know. Now I'm just being mean. Anyway, I'd like to thank you, but you know what I mean? Like, this is it. This has got to be it for Rob Pelinka.
Just stick a stick through his spokes, Jamie, and you can get a new coach.
No, I like to put playing cards in my spokes, so it makes that sound. Actually, I saw a very funny video where somebody they were put it on their tailpipe for their scooter. They took a balloon, cut the balloon part of it off, and let the rubber thing go like flap, 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 flap. And it sounded like a cartoon, like spaceship. When they go like, flap, 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 flap. It was hilarious. Anyway, these are the things that amuse me. What
happens when you have a daughter that age?
Oh man, we will get it. She's
the rest of us aren't watching those same shows, Jamie.
You might want to try it. It's good to reduce your stress level. It's great to reduce your stress level. Anyway, I'd like to thank L. Rob, Michigan. You're in Michigan, correct, L. Rob?
I am.
I'd like to thank L. Rob from Michigan, from Detroit, Motor City. I'd like to thank Michael H. from Honolulu, Hawaii, correct, or suburb of Honolulu?
No, Ke'au, Hawaii, Big Island.
Thank you, Ke'au, Hawaii. Yeah. That's 6 hours worth of basketball knowledge we just accommodated there. Of course, as always, Laker Tom, of whom he and I are in perfect lockstep agreement on almost everything according to the Lakers, which is why we have this show, so that Tom and I can banter back and forth like the two old guys in the Muppets. Stadler and Waldorf, which
he's from Long Beach. I'm from Tiburon.
Technically, I'm from Costa Mesa, so but I'm steadily migrating north. So I figure I'll die in, I don't know, Modesto.
Well, we migrated north too from Mill Valley to Tiburon. So
okay, that's not much.
The only question with you two guys is which one is Felix and which one is Oscar. That's what the.
Well, I'm definitely not Oscar.
Oh man, I'm definitely not Felix. So I guess that makes it. I guess that answers the question right there.
We've been odd coupled. That's.
I love. Is it just me or do I love the?
We just turned that into a damn verb, man. I mean, you odd coupled us. That's terrible.
All right.
I gotta tell my wife that. She'll love it.
All right, real quick. Somebody wants Jimmy Butler on the Lakers. A, that's not going to happen. B, how would you guys feel about Jimmy Butler on the Lakers? Real quick.
No way. No.
I love Jimmy Buckets. I love Jimmy.
I do too.
Nobody like.
36-year-old Jimmy Buckets.
Yeah, all right, that's fair. 36-year-old with knee problems, probably not the best gamble.
You wanted somebody under 27 years, under $33 million.
I love Jimmy Buckets, though. I absolutely love him. Yeah, I love the fire. I love all of it. The whole package.
Yeah, but he does the LeBron role. I mean,
no, I know.
It's
we all
redundant.
We all
He's
want the ball out of
redundant.
LeBron's. We all want the ball out of LeBron's hands. It's perfect. That's some Seinfeldian logic right there.
Yeah, either the guy you want it plays the same position LeBron does, so you can't have him play that position. And if he plays one of the other positions, well, then there's no room for LeBron to play those positions. He plays all 5 positions.
It just was in the chat. It was just in the chat. So I love Jimmy Buckets, so I just had to throw it out there. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to watch Lakers Fast Break, Lakerholics Spotlight Week. I can't say. I gotta work on that. I gotta take some time to rehearse that.
We'll rename it, Jamie.
No. I just gotta practice. I just gotta rehearse for like 5 minutes, and then I'll have it. I just haven't rehearsed. I have the lines. They're back in the trailer. I just haven't rehearsed yet.
Yeah,
so
send us the
welcome. Thank you for tuning in to the Lakerholics Spotlight on Lakerholics Fast Break Weekend. I see. Even then, it doesn't work. I'll channel my inner Chick Hearn one of these days. That guy in a masterful way. I'd like to thank the chat, even though it really went off the rails in the chat, which is why we didn't post a lot of chat comments, because they're all on their drama. So, but everybody have a wonderful weekend. And what's
wait
up,
for
David?
the announcement. It's coming.
Yeah. Everybody get yourself buckled up. I'm taking my daughter to the Sparks game tomorrow, so that's exciting for me on a personal level. I'm not going to watch any of the Celtics Mavs because I really just don't care. I am rooting for the Mavs though, so go Mavs. But I don't care. I'm not looking forward to the outcome. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to say anything negative. I'm just not looking forward to the outcome, which is, I guess, whatever. All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Aloha.
Aloha.